Hello everyone, I'm Rambabu. Today I would like to discuss consumption led economy. From this concept, we can expect one question in prelims as well as mains. Okay, so here before solving this prelims and mains question, first we will see what is meant by consumption led economy. So here before discussing consumption led economy, first we will see the what is meant by GDP. GDP means what? Gross domestic product means. So here value of final goods and the services produced within the physical boundary of a nation during 1 year is called as a gross domestic product. Now simply we can say that here in gross domestic product, your first word is what is there? Gross. Gross is indicating total, right? Come to the second word, that is what? Domestic. Domestic means what? Here economic activity done inside the boundary of the nation or country is called as a domestic. Here word what is their economic activities? Economic activity means what? Here if amount paid to the work is called economic activity. If amount not paid to the work is not a economic activity. Remember this. Now come to the third word, that is what? Product. Product means what? Here goods and services together is nothing but a product. Overall, what is mean by gross domestic product means here value of final goods and services produced within the boundary of a nation during 1 year is called as a gross domestic product. Now here how to calculate gross domestic product? So how to calculate gross domestic product means sum of the private final consumption expenditure, gross capital formation, government final consumption expenditure, and the net export. Means if added four parameters, you will get gross domestic product. In India, private final consumption expenditure is 60 percentage, gross capital formation is 32 percentage, government consumption expenditure is 10 percentage, and net exports is how much means minus 2 percentage. Means it is what is meant by net exports? Exports minus imports is called as a net exports. Here, why minus 2 percentage means here imports are more. Okay, so your imports are more and exports are less. Due to this, your net exports are minus 2 percentage, right? So here, first we will see here in GDP calculation. So here we know that GDP calculation, here there are two types, right? One is goods and also services. So here again the goods are the two types. One is marketable goods and the second one is what means non-marketable goods. Here what is mean by marketable goods means suppose producer is produced a good. Now this good is sold in the market. That is called as a marketable goods. And when you are calculating GDP, marketable goods are included. Okay. Now come to the non-marketable goods. Means we know that. So here, so let's say let us consider farmer. So here farmer is produced one crop. Okay, so let's say example is 80% of the crop is sold in the market, and that is nothing but a what? Marketable good. And 20 percentage, okay, used for self consumption, and that is called as a non-marketable good. Okay, so in the GDP calculation, marketable good and non-marketable good is included. Okay, now come to the services. So here again services are the two types. One is marketable services and the second one is non-marketable services. So here marketable services means what? Let's say example is, so here suppose the services taken from the domestic worker. For a domestic worker we are paying. Okay, means that is nothing but a what? Marketable services. Or let's say another example. So you are taken services from the IT engineer. So then you are paying amount to the IT engineer. Means that service is nothing but a what? So your marketable services. So here when you are calculating GDP, here marketable services are included. Now come to the non-marketable services. Non-marketable services means what? Here we are taking services but we are not paying amount. So that is nothing but what? Non-marketable services. Let's say example is homemaker. Okay, homemaker is gives the service to the family, but so here, so yes, she is not getting amount. So means we can say that that is nothing but what here? Non-marketable services. Non-marketable services are excluded in GDP calculation. So here the important point is in the GDP calculation, so your marketable goods and non-marketable goods included. Okay. So here when come to the services, marketable services are included, non-marketable services are excluded. This very, very important point. Right. Now come to the GDP in gross domestic product. The first word is what is their private final consumption expenditure. So private final consumption expenditure is the, means this indicates household expenditure. So here the Indian economy key driver is private final consumption expenditure, or we can say that household expenditure. That is how much, means 60%. Now so here which are included private final consumption expenditure, which are excluded in private final consumption expenditure. Now we will see. Okay, so now here just now we discussed it, right? We know that. So here marketable goods are included and non-marketable goods are not, so here are included. Now here come to the services. Services is what? Here paid services also be included and non-paid services, so here excluded. Means so here marketable services are included, non-marketable services are excluded. This is important. Now come to the third point. Third point is what? So here money spent on buying land or house, this is excluded. Why? Because in India we do not consider as a expenditure. Means if money is spent on buying a land or house, okay, it is not considered as a expenditure, it is considered as a investment. So that in private final consumption expenditure, this parameter is excluded. Now your rent paid by the tenant, means it is a expenditure, so that it is included. So here money spent on buying land or house is not a expenditure, but it is a investment. Remember this. Next come to the shares and bonds. Shares and bonds, so here accounted, means it is so here what? It is nothing but a what? So here shares and bonds is not counted either expenditure or investment. Means we can say that here it is a not a part of GDP calculation. So here shares and bonds are just, these are transferable. It not creates goods and services, so that it is not either expenditure or investment. Okay, so that shares and bonds are excluded in GDP calculation. Come to the goods, so gold and precious stones, this is also be excluded. Because so here suppose the money spent on gold, okay, it is not treated as a expenditure, it is treated as a investment, right? So here now come to the question. See the question. The first question is what? Here, which among the following expenditure excluded? Okay, excluded, not included. So private final consumption expenditure in an economy. See the first statement, money spent on purchase of land and building. We know that in India money spent purchase on land and building is treated as a investment, it is not treated as a expenditure. Means it is a not part of the private final consumption expenditure. So the first statement is wrong. Now payment of home rent. So here we know that payment of home rent is considered as a expenditure. Okay, so it is considered as a expenditure. So here second one is so correct. Next, so here money spent on purchase of gold and precious metals. Precious metal, we know that. So your money is spent on gold. It is not a expenditure. It is a investment. Means so here it is not a part of private final consumption expenditure. So now he asked excluded, not included. So now here what money spent on purchasing of land and building is excluded, right? And similarly, money spent on purchase of golds and precious metal is also be excluded. These two are coming under so here capital formation, not under private final consumption expenditure. So here 1 and 3 statements are the excluded. So he is asking excluded. So third statement is means third option is right, 1 and 3. Now come to the second question. Second question is what? So with respect to trends in private final consumption expenditure in India, consider the following statement. First statement is what? The private final consumption expenditure is a major driver of Indian economy, accounting for 60% of India GDP. Right? This statement is correct, right? 60% is correct. Now, second statement is what? The percentage contribution of private final consumption expenditure to the Indian economy has declined in the last 4 to 5 years. Okay. Now see the so here this is so here economic survey. This diagram was given. See this here. This is what private final consumption expenditure. So here private final consumption expenditure is 60 percentage, right? Since 4 to 5 years means it is not declined, it is a so here constant or stable. So here what here question is what is given declined. So here it is not declined, it is constant, that is how much means 60%. So second statement is wrong, first statement is right. So here the question is what which one is correct. So here first two option is correct, only one, right? So here these are the prelims expected questions. Now come to the mains question. See the mains question here, establish a relation between savings, consumption and investment in an economy. Discuss the problems and challenges with consumption led economy. Right now we will answer this question, right? So here come to the so here we know that here if we observe the present status, private final consumption expenditure is how much? 60 percentage of the GDP. Okay. So here now here we know that suppose if the demand is more, if the demand is more means what? At the same time now here investments is also be more. When the investment is more means what? So here jobs is also be more. When the jobs are more means what? GDP is also be more. So here if the demand is more, so here it is important. And we know that at same time if the demand is more, there is also be a problem. Now we will see what is that problem. Okay. So now here first we will see relation between consumption, savings, investment and also GDP. First come to the first one. Here suppose consumption expenditure is less. Consumption expenditure is less means what? People spend less on goods and services, right? So your consumption expenditure is less. When expenditure is less means what? It indicates savings are more. Okay, savings are more. And also one more important point is here consumption expenditure is less means it indicates demand is less. When the demand is less means what? Here we know that here this is discourage the investment, right? Generally we know that. So here manufacturer, okay, or investor, so whenever there is a demand to the goods and services, then so investor will invest. But here demand is less. When the demand is less means what? Here investor is not investing money. Means this is discourage the investment. When investments are less, investment is less means what? At the same time, jobs are less. Jobs are less means what? Productivity is less. Productivity is less means what? Gross domestic productivity is also be less. Here So your GDP is less means what? It indicates income level is less, right? Income level is less. So means now here what? This type of cycle is called as a vicious cycle, because when consumption expenditure is less means savings are more but demand is less. Demand is less means this is discourage the investment. When it discourage the investment means GDP is also be less and also income level is less. This kind of vicious cycle is happened in Japan. Okay, there, so yeah, their economy is stagnant because there is no adequate goods and services. Okay, so now here come to the another one. So here let's say suppose consumption expenditure is more. Okay, so here consumption expenditure is more means what? Here expenditure is more means people are spending more money on goods and services. Okay, so here expenditure is more means what? People saving is less. Okay, so here saving is less, and also here here consumption is more means what? At same time demand is more, right? Demand is more. Okay, demand is more. Now here observe here here demand is more but savings are less. Suppose now investor want to invest money, but here savings are less. Savings are less means what? Getting the loan is difficult. Getting the loan is difficult means what? Getting the investment is also be difficult. Or we can say that lack of adequate saving to the making the investment. When the investments are less, okay, investments are less. So here and also observe this one. Here investment is less. One side is what? Demand is more. Investment is less means what? Productivity is less. Productivity is less means what? Supply is less. So means here demand is more, supply is less. This will create demand and supply mismatch. Due to this demand and supply mismatch led to the inflation. Means now here what? So here inflation. So means here in the economy, if inflation is fall into the particular phase, is called as a stagflation. Means this indicate a stagnation plus inflation is called as a stagflation. So means it is also be a vicious cycle. Means when the expenditure is more, savings are less, demand is more, and at the same time, so here savings are less means getting the loan is difficult, means getting the investment is difficult. Here investment is less means what? Productivity is less means here supply is less. So here one side demand is more and another side is supply is less. Here it create demand and supply mismatch. Due to this, inflation will increase. Okay, this is also be a vicious cycle, right? Now come to the third point. So third one is what? Here moderate consumption expenditure. So here moderate consumption expenditure is create. So here two things. One is what? Adequate savings and also moderate demands. Okay, so here adequate savings means what? It will encourage. Mean there is a savings means what? At the same time getting the loan is easy. Means here investor. Okay, so here investor, here it is encouraging investor to invest more investments. When the investment is increasing means what? Jobs are increasing, productivity is increasing, means GDP is also be increases. So here GDP is also be increases. When the GDP is increase means what? At same time income level is also be increases in the future, right? This indicates virtuous cycle, right? So here first and second are not, so means first and second is creating vicious cycle and third one is creating virtuous cycle, right? So means this is indicating, so here instead of consumption led expenditure, so here investment led economy is good. Okay, so here there are two types of the models to grow the GDP. One is consumption led economy. So presently, the India is following consumption-led economy. In the consumption-led economy, there is a vicious like a vicious cycle. Okay, so that now here, so move to the investment-led economy. So a investment-led economy is creating adequate savings and moderate demand, and is also be create increase the or encourage the investments. GDP is also be growing. This is the virtuous cycle. Okay, so here this is nothing but a what, investment led economy. So which one is best means investment led economy is good compared to the consumption led economy. So now we will see what are the problems in consumption led economy. Okay, so here the consumption led economy problem is what means here, see, so in India, we know that demographic dividend is more, right? That is advantage for good. So advantage for India. So here demographic dividend means what? Let's say if you observe the age groups are, one is what, 0 to 15 years age. Second one is, so here 0 to 14 years, and another one is what, 15 to 59 years, and 59 years age. Now 0 to 14 years is means, now here generally we know that generally the working age group is what, 15 to 59 years. Okay, so now here in India demographic dividend is more. Okay, demographic dividend is more means what, demand is more for goods and services. Demand for goods and services more means what, private final consumption expenditure is also be more. Private final consumption expenditure is more means what, GDP is also be more, means it is not a problem. But but this demographic dividend is not forever, because recently, so your national family health survey 5 is given that here, so here the fertility rate is decreasing. That is how much means, earlier 2.2, now 2. So means now present fertility rate in India is how much means 2. Means it indicates in future less number of children's born. Okay, less number of children are born. This is the first problem. Second one is what, the 15 to 59 age group is not forever, because so here, one day these 15 to 59 age group is shifting to the above 59 years. This will happen 2041, means in 2041 the 15 to 59 age group is falling into the, so here 59 age group. So indicate that demographic dividend will decrease. Okay, when the demographic dividend will decrease means what, at the same time goods and services demand will decrease, and at the same time private final consumption expenditure is also be decreases. Then GDP is decreases. GDP decreases means what, and also there is a target in 2047, that is what, Vikasit Bharat, or we can say that developed economy. Okay, to reach this goal, okay, to reach this goal compulsory we have to shift consumption led economy to investment led economy, because in the consumption led economy GDP is reducing, or we can say that we are not we are unable to move to the developed country. Okay, this is the first problem of the consumption led economy. Come to the second one. Come to the second one, right? So here recently, so here recently RBI, so here RBI is published one report. In that report mentioned that, so here household final financial savings reduced to 47-year low of 5%. Means here the savings are reduced, right? When the savings are reduced means what, at the same time investment is, so here reduced. Investment is reduced means what, at the same time GDP is also be reduced. Okay, this is the second problem of the consumption led economy. Third one is what, so here inflation is also be increasing, right? Inflation is also be increasing. We know that after the post pandemic recent past in India, what will happen simply here the inflation remain above the 6%. This is also a problem of the consumption-led economy. Now come to the fourth one. Fourth one is what? Decline in investment. Okay. So here the investment. So in 2007 and 8, so here investment is 34 percentage. Now, so 22, 23, this is 30 percentage. Means investments are reducing. Means again GDP will reduce. Okay. So here this is the fourth problem of the consumption-led economy. And also net exports is also be decreasing. Net exports is also be decreasing. Let's say example is, so here the people are purchasing, okay, goods and services are more. So here uh, people are purchasing goods and services more and more. Then what will happen simply? We have to import from other country. Means when the imports are increasing, then what will happen? Net exports are decreasing. So here this is the fifth problem. Now the sixth problem is what? So here higher volatility in tax collection. Let's say example is during the COVID. So here during the COVID, we know that spending is less because during that lockdown is there. So here during the lockdown, so your spending is less. When spending is less means what? GST collection is less. Okay. After so lockdown, so here after COVID, so here what will happen? Spending is increased. When the spending is increased means what? Suddenly GST collection is also be increases. Means now here what? Here there is a means, so here before COVID and after COVID there is a large scale of volatility, right? So here this is the sixth problem. Now come to the seventh problem. Seventh problem is what? Here we know that after 1991, so here LPG reforms, after LPG reforms, now here rapid growth of services, okay, rapid growth of services. And what about the goods? Here goods demand is decreasing. So here we know that here the demand, so here one side is we know that goods, another one is what? So here services. Now here services are we are frequently availing, and also like we know that services means education, health, hotel, entertainment. Now here these services cost is more compared to the goods. Okay. So here means the here the goods, so here the goods demand is less, or we can say that in India, so here underdeveloped manufacturing. This is the seventh problem of the, so here consumption-led economy. Now come to the eighth one, imbalanced industrialization. So here imbalanced industrialization. Imbalanced industrialization means, see here there are, so one is what? So here goods are the two types, right? The goods are the two types. One is what? Capital goods, right? And the second one is what? Consumer goods. Second one is consumer goods. So here what is meant by capital goods? Means here those goods are used to manufacture other good is nothing but a, so here capital good. Example is what? Machines, telephone, telecom equipment. These all are coming under capital goods. Consumer goods means what? Like, so your mobile phones, laptops, okay, these all are coming under consumption good. So here India, so means in India 60% of the capital goods are imported, okay, when you are compared with the consumption goods. So means now here what? 60% of capital goods are imported, means it is indicates imbalanced industrialization. Now come to the last one. So here the ninth problem is what? Here debt burden is also be increasing. Household debt burden is increasing. That is how much? So here the household debt burden is increased, that is 40 percentage, okay, due to this. So here debt is increased means what? So here we can indicate that at same time, so your consumption is reduced, and also GDP growth is also be reduced. This is a problem. So here if you observe the East Asian countries and China, now they are focusing on investment led model rather than consumption led model. So means they are shifted from, so here consumption led model to led model. So here in the investment led model, GDP is growing. GDP is growing means what? So here at same time 2047 the India will also be become so developed country up to 2041. So consumption led economy, okay. But after 2041, so here consumption led economy is not suitable to the India. So that shift from consumption led economy to, so here so capital so our investment led economy. Now how to write way forward means, see here, as evidence in the growth model of China and East Asian economies, so need shift from consumption led economy to investment led economy to become a Vikasit Bharat by 2047. Such growth model will be promote investment and increase the GDP, so here boost the jobs and increase the per capita income and to sustain saving investment GDP. So virtuous cycle. Okay, you can write this way forward. Okay, so here you write these points in the mains question. See the mains question. Establish the relation between savings, consumption, investment in an economy. Means you write these points. After that, discuss the problems and challenges with consumption-led economy. So you write down these problems. Okay, so here this is the concept of consumption led economy. So here thank you very much.